Hey, what is up guys? So we're going to be doing a deck profile on a Raid Raptors. Now, I know I just uploaded a deck profile, but this one is going to be different. This one I consider it to be much better. I took a lot of your guys' suggestions as well. I've been playtesting for a while, and I kind of like this build better than the one I previously uploaded. So it's going to be like an updated, more viable version of the deck. Because I forgot about some cards. Like, legitimately, I don't know how I forgot about these two cards, guys. Legitimately, that was my bad on the deck. And I forgot that this card even existed in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But anyways, let's go and jump in the deck profile and I'll explain the choices as we go along. If you're just here to net deck, I'll put a link down below in the description box. And if you guys want to know how the deck plays, I'll put a link of a video so you guys can watch how it plays. It's generally a slower deck though. I try to make it a little bit faster with some of the choices in here, but let's go ahead and get started. So first off, Dark Arms, you can manipulate the graveyard relatively easy with Raid Raptor Nest, with the Impel Lanius, the Mimicry Lanius, as well as like Zephyros. And when you go Summoner Monk into the Vanishing, you can go ahead and summon another card, and then from there you should be able to get Dark Arm out relatively easy. And it lets you actually play a little bit more aggressive in the deck as well, because the deck is relatively passive. I feel like it reminds me of like Gear Armor. It's just like you sit there for a few turns, and then you're going to go ahead and make a nice field later on. But the problem that I had with the deck is you really needed to draw this card. There's no like searchability for this card in these the way I'm playing it right now. I don't know if there's actually something that searches up rank ups. I assume there is, but nonetheless, I don't know if I'd want to play it. But next up, playing two of the Impel Lanius. This card, it just makes it so you can move something to defense mode and then attack and then special summon. I think this is one of their best cards. The only downside I have with this card is it doesn't special summon the monster immediately. It has to be during the end of the battle phase. Or where is it? Your main phase, your main phase 2 if it attacks, so it's like, basically you can't attack with the monster you're bringing out. But you can still like make something maybe to burn them from game if you happen to have dealt a decent amount of damage to them. Next up, I'm playing two Harpy Harpist. It lets you play a little bit more aggressive if you have the Tin Goldfish, as well as it allows you to go Summoner Monk into this if you really just don't want to go into your other cards because of like Dark Law. I noticed Dark Law was one of the most annoying things to deal with in this deck. That's why I decided to go two Dark Holes and then the Regeki. And then I cut some of the other trap cards that I was playing because heroes every time they were like, oh bro, don't worry, I have MST. So I wanted to make the deck as fast as possible because every single time I would set Icarus Tact and I'd be like, it's fine, I could just Icarus Tact Dark Law and everything will be okay next turn. Then MSC, then I'm like, okay, well I lost at this point because I'm trying to set this card so I can get free advantage next turn, but it just wasn't working too well. So it made it faster against heroes. And like heroes have, like I said, an excellent matchup against this deck. Next I'm playing Zephyros because you can bounce back this card. This card is always relevant in the deck. If there's Royal Decree on the board, you can actually bounce back Vandies, but pretty much you're bouncing back, this is the only card. Maybe a Snatch Steal too, if you really want to give back their card, or maybe if Snatch Steal just happens to stay on board or something. Next I'm playing one Secret Crane. I like with Swallow's Nest. Previous build, I didn't really like Swallow's Nest because I didn't really like dealing with Dark Law, but then I tried to play the double Dark Hole Regeki to kind of deal with it. But this card is definitely very good because you're able to just bring out this guy that brings out this guy, or you can just go ahead and just bring out this guy if you happen to have another one on board. And also if this card's bringing back something that you don't really need, you can just activate this, go for the Harpy Harpist, because it's you don't have to only use it with the Raid Raptors. It's just any winged beast monster you control. But it has to have the same level, so obviously it doesn't work on the Exceeds. OCG was playing 3 of these. If I was playing 3 of these, you guys can definitely play more of these. You can play more Tin Goldfish if you want to. It lets you play a little bit more aggressive. And I would recommend playing BLS if you want to play 3 of these. I probably would do that for my build, but I'm making this kind of more so to be a better version of the deck. You could definitely get away with BLS, like I said, if you want to play more Crane. Next I'm playing 2 of the Vanishing Lanius. This is usually the card that you're adding back every single turn with Raid Raptor Nest. And he basically just opens up your plays. At one point I really did like 3 of these, like you normal summon this to normal summon another one, but I found it to be kind of like all in, and like even though you get a lot of free advantage in the deck, like you're going to be making something with this, or you're not going to really be making anything that's relatively strong in the deck at all. That was the one problem I had with the deck, is that like you basically, all the rank 4s that you're making, besides the generic ones, you go for this most of the time, and then this doesn't really do anything other than let you search to try to add this eventually to your hand by drawing it. So yeah, we're playing 2 of these guys, and they're playing 3 copies of Mimicry. I like this card at 3 because it just allows you to make the deck much faster, because if you want, you can bump this card up to 3. It's totally up to you on that. You could drop the Harpy Harpist or whatever you want to drop, but usually the deck recycles itself over and over, and you'll notice there's kind of a low monster count, but that's intentional because basically you're going to be searching out your cards relatively fast with all the other cards. And then we're playing one of the Goldfish. I like this card better than Goblinberg. Goblin is just the card that they like in the OCG. I think Tin Goldfish is much better. I know it's not really relevant in the game to have tokens on board, but you know, on the off chance that you match up against something that has tokens, since Tin Goldfish can attack, sometimes it can be the difference between winning and losing games, and Goblin goes to defense anyways, so I just find this card to be better. It also has 2,000 defense, on the off chance that you have to set it for someone that opens up with, like, I don't know, Secret Village and you can't really make plays for whatever reason. Yeah, Tin Goldfish got that 2,000 defense. Next up, 2 Summoner Monk makes the deck go really, really fast. Summoner Monk's just an excellent card in general, just because it makes everything much faster. Next up, Allure of Darkness. You have low monster count, but feel free to banish anything you really want in the deck because you're going to get a lot of free advantage anyways. I just like this card when you open up with too many monsters in the deck. Not that it happens too often, but I just like Allure of Darkness in general, and I like playing one of these just because it like kind of makes Allure of Darkness like plus in a sense. Because when you get this card and Allure of Darkness, it's very awesome because obviously you get the free card. But I really like banishing this card because once you banish this card, you get a free card, you get to bring it back, and then when it is normal or special summon, you can increase the level of all raid Raptor monsters. Not that you really use that too often, but you can. It's definitely a thing that you can do. I just like this card because then it resets the card also. And it also is another card with Zephyros technically. And then we're playing Allure of Darkness, which we went over. We got the 2 instant fusions because Nodin is definitely overpowered and it makes everything much better. Like you can go Nodin into, basically if you open up with like double of these, which is really easy to do. If you happen to have like something just like normal, special, something else, or you go this card to special something else, you can go straight into the 4 Strix. And if you happen to have the Lanius over here, usually what you can do is well, these are the cards that I was originally trying to play. If you want, you can add them, but we're going to go ahead and get rid of them real quick so I can explain the play. So let's say you go for this Summoner Monk into this bad boy over here. Well, then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and go into 4 Strix. This is like a really common play. Again, you can mix and match other cards to make this play. But you go ahead and you make this card over here. You detach this guy over here, the Lanius. And then you go ahead and search out for whatever you want to search out for. Then you activate Instant Fusion, bringing out Nodin, and then you bring back this card. Then you make another 4 Strix, and then you go ahead and detach again to add another Raid Raptor monster. And then what you do, since you have 2 of them, then you banish this card over here, and then you go ahead and add the Raid Raptor Nest, and then lets you add another card. So from there, you're able to search out 3 cards, and then you have this, which can then search out another card next turn. So you've searched out 3 cards. This is essentially what it costs 3 cards essentially to do because it's Summoner Monk, Instant Fusion, and any spell card. But you get to search out 3 cards, and you still have 3 cards on board. And then next turn, if they don't get rid of everything, you get to search out another 3 cards. So it basically lets you set up for just a huge advantageous plays in the deck. So yeah, that's just like a really common play that you'll be making in the deck. And then next up, we're playing 3 of the Rank Up Astral Force, or Rank Up Magic Astral Force. This was the best suggestion. Thank you for the person that suggested this. Is so much better because you can just go straight into Revolution Falcon, which is basically the boss monster, I would say, of the deck. So you can detach 1 from this card, and then it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. And then at the start of the damage step, if it battles a face-up special monster, that monster's attack and defense becomes 0. So if you're dealing with a deck that swarms like crazy and you're able to activate this, maybe Xian already stopped Dark Hole and they got like a bunch of monsters, just make this. Basically you get to wreck them in OTK. The deck doesn't OTK too often, but you know it can with this card. And then this also has another effect you can detach. It's just once per turn you can target a monster and then destroy it, and then it makes so they take damage. The other effect is the one where you have to detach. There's also this guy you can make, Blaze Falcon, but it's almost always Revolution Falcon that you want to make anyway, so this is much better because it ranks it up twice rather than the other card that was a quick play that I mentioned before, which only ranks it up once. This is just much more efficient, makes the deck much faster, so thank you for that suggestion from you guys. And then I'm playing Dark Hold because I don't like dealing with Dark Law. Dark Law just, it wrecks the deck, and that's why Regeki's also there. Foolish, you have a lot of things that you can Foolish in the deck, whether it's Zephyros, whether it's this card, so I really like Foolish. And 3 MST because Vanity's Emptiness makes this deck cry, unless you have like one of these that can help out a lot. Then 3 Swallow's Nest, it makes the deck so much faster. I know previously I mentioned I don't like dealing with Dark Law, but I try to combat it because I don't like tributing a Winged Beast to get advantage, and then trying to search out a card, and Dark Law is going to say no or something like that. Well, the card will pretty much get banished anyways, whatever you're bringing out or if you add a card, it's like, yeah. It's just overall, like I said, Dark Law it poops on the deck, so I tried to make it so it can deal with it a little bit better. Then we're playing 2 of these. I still think 2 of these is the perfect number. If 3 is just too much, because like once you go off of the combo I mentioned, it's very advantageous. And then Snatch Steal because it snatches games. Bottomless, Torrential, then Warning. I was thinking about Compulse too, that's also an option, but I don't really like Compulse against Necros, so yeah. And then 2 Vanity's Emptiness, and then 1 Escape. I love Escape too much not to play out. I was really sad when I decided to cut it down to 1. If you want, you guys can try out multiple. It's so good with this card. And the OCG, they're like, dude, max out on these. And I like it a lot. But because everyone plays heroes, I just don't like dealing with Dark Law. That's really what it comes down to. As far as the extra deck, 2 Nodin, 2 the Revolution Falcon. I know we're playing 3 of these and we're playing 2 of these. But the thing is, if you're getting 2 of these out, you should be winning the game. It's just basically kind of like the same concept of running certain cards where you really only, like Instant Fusion and Nodin is also another example. There's a lot of decks on the OCG that do the same thing, where they play 3 Instant Fusion, but they only play 2 Nodin. And it's only because, like, if you're going to, you know, need 3, you should have already won by the time you've activated 2 is what it really comes down to. And the same logic over here with that. They're playing 1 Blaze Falcon. I very rarely make this card anymore, but you can still make it, because remember, they can still increase their level, you can increase the level of all the Ray Raptors you control by 1, so you can still make the other cards without the other rank up card that we were playing before. And pretty much most of the generic stuff. This is another card that I added. Thank you for the suggestion, whoever suggested the Ice Beast Zero Fine. Totally forgot about this card. It was a pretty cool card for Blackwings. I remember that when you had like all the face-up Rollins and stuff. I like this card because it gains 300 attack for each face-up card currently on the field, except for itself, and that counts your cards and your opponent's cards. And then basically keeps the attack until your next standby phase. Then we're just playing 2 of these. Highly recommend you guys play 2 of these. Do not skip out on this. This card's amazing. This card, it's random and it can be really good. Again, it really comes down to those random OTKs that you can pull off. With Rise Falcon, it can attack all the special monsters your opponent controls, kind of like this card over here. But once per turn, you can detach 1, and then you get to target a space special monster, and it gains attack equal to that monster's current attack. So if they have a bunch of small monsters, maybe for whatever reason they have Doppel tokens, and they make like a Quasar, and they already use the Quasar's negation. Yeah, you could definitely OTK with this card, definitely. But yeah, that's the Raid Raptor deck. If you guys have any more suggestions, I'd love to hear them. But thanks for everyone that made those suggestions, and I'll get some more gameplay footage for you guys. But for the most part, the deck is okay. The more support that it has that comes out in the future, the better it'll be, obviously. But at the moment, I don't think it's a contender to deal with the highest tier, because the other higher tier decks are just way too fast for the deck, and the deck likes to play the playstyle to get some free advantage and then go for some plays later on that are okay. And like I said, it can be explosive, but usually the problem that I have with the deck is that it excels at your opponent having a bunch of monsters, and if your opponent has a bunch of monsters, you've probably lost that duel. That's why I was thinking that you can play that Raid Raptor card that acts as a Wabaku. That's maybe the intention of the deck, is to basically make it so your opponent has a bunch of monsters to attempt to OTK, then you prevent yourself from dying, and then you make this card next turn. But more than likely, they'll you know, just kind of try to play around it. And I just don't like that concept of make sure your opponent goes all in and then you have a rebuttal play, and the rebuttal play has to go off. I just think that is just not optimal. And there's also like Wiretap that can ruin this card, but you can also banish it, so I mean, it definitely has its utility. But if Dark Law's out there, it's not in the graveyard anyways. But thanks for watching, guys. Nice, signing out.